Hello, upper cervical doctors and students. Welcome back to another episode of the UCM Podcast. I am your host for today, Dr. Bill Davis, and I'm very excited to be joined by Dr. Hutan Ghojallu from Milwaukee, Wisconsin area. Welcome to the podcast, Doc. Excited to have you
Thank
here.
you.
So
Thanks
for
for
anybody
having
out there who doesn't know you, Doc, please introduce yourself to our audience, help them get to know you a bit.
Sure. My name is Dr. Hutan Ghojallu, and I practice in the city of Mequon, which is about just 9 miles outside of Milwaukee, north of Milwaukee, on the beautiful Lake Michigan. We're just about half a mile west of Lake Michigan. It's a beautiful area. It is a little cold, but it's beautiful, and the place just keeps growing, and it's a wonderful community. And I built this my practice here pretty much from scratch in 2002, and so we've been here. October of 2002 was my opening day. Specifically October 4th of 2002. So it's been about 23 years that I've been here. And prior to that, I was an associate at another practice, an upper cervical practice up in the Fox Valley in Oshkosh, working with Dr. Strong. So I was there for 8 years prior to that. So I've been practicing chiropractic, upper cervical chiropractic, since 1995.
Wow. Okay. So 30 years of practicing upper cervical chiropractic, right? And right. So talk about how you first got into this kind of work. What was the the genesis of all that?
Well, I while I was in Palmer, I was a member of the Delta Sigma Chi fraternity. It's the straight chiropractic fraternity. And I really didn't know anything about chiropractic prior to going to chiropractic school. I knew very little. I joined a pre-chiropractic club in undergrad because a friend of mine said he thought I should be a chiropractor. I really didn't have any passion for pre-dentistry, which is what I was in before. I had a biology major. I was studying towards a BS in biology, which I got from Springfield College. But then as soon as I got accepted to Palmer, I had hitched a U-Haul on the back of my car, and I drove to Palmer, and they had me room at the Delta Sigma Chi fraternity, and the rest is pretty much history as far as like being a principal chiropractor. So right. There was a number of chiropractors or docs in the fraternity that were graduating, and one of them was Dr. Phil Arnone, who you probably know. He's a NUCCA member, and he was practicing NUCCA. And that was the first time I ever heard about NUCCA. And I just didn't think up much of it for another couple of years while I was in school. And then I started practicing toggle recoil while I was in student clinic. And I was very disciplined with that practice. I did some Kale knee chest. And then my last trimester in school, I did some Grostic and some NUCCA. So there were a number of electives that you could take at that time. And Grostic and NUCCA were one of them. I was just always intrigued and interested in doing the least and getting the most. Part of it is just, I think it's just, I'm just lazy. Do I really need to adjust everything on everybody? Right. But I loved chiropractic. I remember I read Palmer's Law of Life and Stevenson's chiropractic textbook while I was in school, and I just fell in love with chiropractic. There's no one else in my family who was a chiropractor. I think my late grandfather knew something about bone setting. That's what my dad told me once I got into chiropractic school, which was really strange.
Interesting.
And he would set people's bones in the neighborhood, and
oh wow,
I didn't know that, and so if you had a throat infection, you went to him. Huh. So I don't know. Maybe it was just the energy of him being out there. But once I graduated, I was an international student. So I'm originally from Iran. We had moved to Europe when I was 13 or 14, I moved to the States to start my undergrad. And then once I moved to Palmer and I graduated from Palmer, I had to find a clinic or marry someone to get my green card. And so I found a clinic. They sponsored me in Oshkosh, and that doc, Dr. Dan Strong, did NUCCA. And it was just, I always tell everybody, I just got so lucky because I never looked back. I mean, this was like when really upper cervical work, and especially NUCCA, it is a calling. It's not some job you find. It's something that you kind of like, just it presents itself to you, and you either take it or you don't. And once you do, and you have some level of success, it's really hard to do anything else because it's amazing how well it works. And at the time I started with Dr. Strong, I just wasn't very good. I went to maybe one conference, and he took me under his wings. I remember I erased most of his films. I redrew lines. I would take his posts, and I just did everything as far as like upper cervical work was concerned. I mean, I after work, I would go home, and I didn't know anybody in Oshkosh. I was just this guy who just showed up there.
Right.
Having I was going through what's called practical training in order for me to be able to get my work visa the year after. And so I was just excited. I was in America, and I was out of school, and this is what I did. And I was just on fire. I mean, just talked to everybody about chiropractic. And I want to make it clear, I always consider myself a chiropractor who practices NUCCA. I know a lot of people consider themselves a NUCCA doctor, and I am a NUCCA doctor, but more importantly, I am a chiropractor who practices NUCCA. And I practice it at a very high level. I mean, I'm going through certification right now, which I think is very important because it's such a high ceiling for this work. You're never really good. You're good, and you can help a lot of people, but there's always someone around the corner who's going to humble you, because you're just not getting it. And so, in order to get better at those tougher cases, you always have to train. You always have to go to conferences. You have to collaborate with other NUCCA members and upper cervical docs. This is just not some work that's been documented that much for you to just feel like you can get the information from anywhere. You really have to dig in, and you have to be principled and also be consistent with your habits of studying and practicing and making mistakes and learning from your mistakes, and that's pretty much what I've done 30 years.
That pursuit of excellence is so crucial, right? It's not a destination, right? It's a day by day journey. It's working on it day by day, in all aspects of practice, right? Not just your technique, but in your patient communication and how you manage your team and your systems and all these different aspects of upper cervical practice.
Right.
It's all about continual learning, right? Being that lifetime learner.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah. So let's talk about, you did your associate position for 8 years. And so when you came out of that associate position, did you feel pretty prepared? Did you think like you were ready to move on and start your own practice at that point?
Oh yeah. So once I was able to get my green card through that associateship, which was huge for me. And once I did that, I was able to open up my own place. And so I moved down like an hour and a half south of Oshkosh, which was in Mequon. And I didn't even know where this place was. I just opened up pretty much from scratch. And there was another chiropractor in the space that I leased who unfortunately just didn't make it. He was just there for 6 months. It was a new building. So they'd lead lined the room. They had all these rooms and all these filing areas and everything. And I just had to buy some equipment and basically start an 18-month lease, going into 5 years if I was successful in 18 months. And the rest was just history. And I mean, I put ads in the paper. I would put like ads for like these special reports about low back pain and have people respond to that. I mean, it was just, it was really difficult. But what I did do was I got results because that's what you do with upper cervical. I mean, even if you're mediocre, you still get better results than an average chiropractor.
Yes.
And you think you're doing great. I mean, I had a lot of people refer to me based on those results, and so it just kept building. And I really never signed up with any insurance companies. It just right from the get-go, they basically just Medicare, and then everything else was just out of pocket, and it was cash. So I learned a lot along the way. And sorry about that phone.
That's all right.
So I learned a lot, and one thing that I felt like helped me was just having faith and tenacity. I just even on days that were really tough, I knew that the principle of this worked. And if I could just be better at it and educate people, they would stick around to see the results. And some did, and some didn't, but as I got better, and later on, like from pretty much 2013 or 14 till now, I've never missed a conference. I just kept getting better after that. I mean, it was just, it was actually amazing. I wouldn't say I really was very good at running a business. So there's a business of chiropractic and there's the clinical side of chiropractic.
Right.
But that all also came, I found a chiropractic coach who actually didn't do upper cervical, but he helped me quite a bit through this journey. His name is Dr. Dean DePice from TLC for Super Teams. And I didn't stop coaching for that to be able to get the message of chiropractic out, but then also put my art of upper cervical in there and explain that to patients. And
right.
Yeah,
BJ said, a man with a purpose can't be stopped, right? And that's so crucial is having that purpose, like you said, having that principled mindset when it comes to the work that you're doing, why you're doing it, how you're doing it. So having that purpose-driven practice, it's like you said, when you have the hard times, when you have the difficult days or weeks or whatever, that is what can continue to keep you going, right?
Right.
Yeah. And so let's talk about, those first few years, obviously challenging, getting it going, getting the new practice started. But so once you started getting some momentum, building that base of patients and whatnot, what was, you said, you got a chiropractic coach, started learning some more things about business. Talk about, building your team, building your system, some of those things that you've done over the years and how that has worked.
Yeah, sure. What I did learn through this process is how much the team matters. You can practice on your own. You can practice on your own and see a number of people and get great results. But if you're not getting help, and if you don't have not just help, but help that's bought in, that they bought in what you do, that they're excited to show. It's not a job. It's not just a job for them either. It's just actually it's a calling for them. You got to remember, they're just getting hourly pay,
right?
And so, in order for them to stay excited and stay with you, they have to not only just see the results of people getting well, but also for them to know what's expected of them. And so we have meetings every week. I mean, I used to have like maybe staff meeting. I used to have staff meetings maybe once a month. And they were terrible. I just didn't know what I was doing. You know, it's like, you know, they were so boring. I was bored myself. But then what I started doing, what I started learning was that I just really had to make this a lot more fun. And sometimes, let's say we were going to talk about how we were going to have patients refer. We would talk about, you know, what are the places they want to go and refer other people. And so we would use a lot more personal experience and have the staff talk about their personal experiences outside the office. And so I got to know the staff really well. And I really know the CAs who work for me. Like they're just basically my second family. I see them sometimes more than my own family.
Right.
I'm here a lot. You know? So, and it's worked out. I mean, even people who didn't stay here long because, you know, life just happened, they had to move on, and we still have great relationship with them. You know, because I feel like, you know, we got a certain number of referrals from them too, from just staff being trained.
Yeah.
But more importantly was the energy that they put out. You know, on reevaluation forms, we always ask, you know, are you happy with our staff? And I would say 90%, 95% of the time, it's like a significantly positive comment on how much they love the staff, you know, and how much the staff has helped them, you know, make it easy for them to be here. And, you know, you got to remember with chiropractic practice, especially with NUCCA, sometimes you're spending a lot of time with each patient, you know, so sometimes you've allotted 10 minutes, but it may take 20. So there could be a lot of people sitting in the room waiting. And most of the time, if the staff is not trained well, and they start getting nervous because, you know, they're putting this energy that, oh, you know, the doc is late here, you know, then people start getting nervous. So there's a certain art to training everyone to understand what this is. And it doesn't matter how long I'm taking with a patient to get them adjusted, because ultimately the patient has to get adjusted before they leave. And we have certain measures in NUCCA that we do in order for them to show that they got adjusted, or they got adjusted the best that I was able to do that day.
Right.
And so sometimes that takes longer, and no one really complains. None of my patients get up and say, I got to leave, you know, unless they really have to be somewhere. But it's not like, you know, they have a problem with that, because they know I'm going to spend the same amount of time with them too, if they need it. So we train a lot. We train every week. And we have quarterly meetings. I have accountability meetings with them about once a week or once every 2 weeks. And we also sometimes go to seminars together. For example, you know, I send them to chiropractic seminars for them to be trained, and you know, not just about upper cervical, but just the concept of chiropractic. What is it that we're doing here?
Yeah, that's awesome. Look, I want to talk more about you mentioned accountability meetings. Let's talk about how you structure those. What's some of the things that you go through in those meetings? I'm assuming those are one-on-one meetings that you're having with the different members of the team.
Right. So, for example, with our financial CA, you know, I always want to know. We do insurance filing, but it's out of network, and that's sometimes an area that's not that easy to navigate,
right?
Because the rules around it can change a lot. So I have a very dedicated person, and she's very good at figuring this out. But I always want to know what the numbers are. You know, which insurance companies are we having trouble with, and I usually have them be accountable to contacting, let's say, the patient for the remainder of the balance. You know, we need to know that past 30 days that we're still getting paid. If the insurance company, for example, is not sending money. So those little things, I just don't let it be swept under the rug.
Right.
Our collections are really good. Or let's say, for example, our front desk. If I'm expecting for her to know when is the next reevaluation of a certain number of people, I want her to have a list, and at the end of the week for us to talk about, who has she contacted about and sent paperwork for, let's say, the next reevaluation. Or even the person who's doing the tech CA who's doing my notes, and she's here part-time, for her to just reach certain markers of like being able to, let's say, do the subjective and objective really well. Because a lot of times people who have hired, they have no experience in chiropractic terminology, medical terminology. So it's, they're learning on the go.
Right.
And so that requires a lot of one-on-ones that we need to slowly, bring them on for them to do their job. So those are really the accountability meetings. And with the associate who I had, it was the same thing. We were talking about, for example, films taken. How accurate are we trying to be, especially with NUCCA films, and are they reaching those goals? And the other thing that I would want to definitely see in an associate, if we were to hire one, is that how much are they working towards their towards their levels, towards again their certification.
Right.
So yeah, there's always going to be accountability, and I'm also accountable to my staff. So, for example, if I need to give them some notes or give them some diagnoses or whatever, they keep me accountable with that too. So that one-on-one is not just me expecting things from them, but it's also whatever they have for me.
Right. Yeah, it's so important. And the one-on-one meetings to me is a crucial part of, running any business, really.
Right.
If you have team members that are directly reporting to you, you got to be able to, build those relationships, like you said, right? You got to get to know them, understand what they're motivated by, and like you said, some of the biggest things, the most important things when it comes to of team members is, do they care, right? Like if they care about what you're doing, right? If they care about what you're doing, they care about the patients, they care about the practice, they care about what the work is that they're doing each day. It makes all the difference, right? Like it really is. It comes down to that anyways.
Yeah, you really get to know that you get the pulse, So the same way you get a pulse from a patient out on a reevaluation, it's same thing when you're just, having a one-on-one with staff members. Are they still in it, or has something happened in life that they may not just be all into the work that they're doing anymore.
Yeah.
And at that time, you just have to be really honest, like whether this is still the right thing for them.
Right. Right.
And because, in a small office, one staff member leaves and it's an important staff member. And if you're not ready, you can fall behind.
Yeah.
Really easily. Let's say you're seeing a volume. Yeah, you can still see a number of people on your own, but ultimately what's helping you grow and you're at a certain level is the staff that you have.
That's right.
Yeah.
Nurturing that team is so important, and just keeping them connected to what you're doing, the purpose, and the overall pulse of the practice is huge. And so you mentioned this already, Doc. I know, the practice has been growing and you're, helping lots of people in the community, but now you're really, it sounds like you're running into some capacity issues. Even your phone's ringing right now. You mentioned that an associate is really a next step for your practice, as far as what you need to expand your capacity to be able to help more people in the community. And so I'd love to have you, just talk about this associate position that you're looking to hire for. If there's anybody out there that's interested, so they have a better understanding of what the position entails.
Sure. Yeah. the associate position for us is going to start with someone who's a principled chiropractor who understands the chiropractic philosophy well, but also who wants to practice not just upper cervical, but the NUCCA procedure, because that's what I do.
Right.
And I do use some other procedures, let's say extremities, or sometimes, I would check the pelvis or sacrum here and there, especially if I'm not serving the patient well with just the NUCCA adjustment. But most importantly is that I'm working my way towards certification so that I would only be able to use NUCCA, exclusively. And I'm not sure if that's really possible or not, but I'm expecting the associate to also work towards that goal. For them to be a chiropractor, to be able to adjust the spine, but most importantly, for them, their focus to be on the upper cervical spine using the NUCCA procedure at a highest level. So that's the number one. That's the number one trait that we're looking for. And secondly, is it someone who does want to train? I mean, it's once you're out of school, or even if you've had a practice for a while and you feel like you have some experience. If you're not training with us, you're just really not on the team.
Right.
You're seeing people on your own. So I'm not looking for an independent contractor. I'm looking for an associate who is able to do what I do, and to basically, if I'm not here, that they're going to be able to replicate exactly what I did. So I don't want someone who comes here and is second tier or third tier to me. It's the office's patients is all the doctor's patients. So all the doctors who would be working here would be seeing all the patients, not just my patient or his patient or her patient. So in order to do that, basically the office has to be together and train on a weekly basis. And being positive, and like, I mean, it's almost sounds like a joke of like, not to gossip, but a no gossip office is a positive place. That
Absolutely.
we pretty much talk about family, or fitness, or chiropractic. This is what this place is about, and if you exude that, if you're someone who is disciplined in your own life in terms of how you take care of yourself. This is a good place for you. I just hosted a prospective student yesterday who came up from Palmer from my fraternity, and first thing I did in the morning is that we worked out at 6 in the morning before we had patients. He was appreciative of that. He likes to exercise too, but I think he was a little surprised. But that for physical career like this, you really have to do that. And so I'm expecting someone who is in good health and wants to stay in good health, and has the discipline to do that. I think those three things are probably on most importantly. And there are other things like being punctual, being well dressed, being passionate about your work, being a team player. I mean, all of that is just obvious things, and there are other things that I could talk to a prospective student or associate about. But most importantly, I just want them to be okay to train and be humble from the very beginning, and to learn and to go through the levels of being someone who's first few weeks at the front desk, learning all the things that we all do, cross training with everyone, learning the systems, being able to do an exam, being able to go out and have community connections. So community connections to me are really, really important. And they would be for the associate also, because that means they're connected to the community that they're serving. So when people come in, they don't just see me as the practice owner and somebody just working for me. So this is like just really one unit taking care of the community through chiropractic.
Right. No, that's great. And that's, it sounds like, that person, if they're listening to this, they're going to realize that that's me, right? Like that's the kind of person I am. And so, yeah, I mean, if someone was interested in this position, Doc, what should they do next?
Well, they can go on our website, balancechiro.com/associate, and they can fill out their information, and I would get in contact with them, and we can have an initial conversation on the phone, and then move on from there.
Awesome. So we'll put this in the show notes for this episode too. If you want to click on it down below, the link will be there for you. And you'll be able to go and complete the application, submit the video, do whatever you need to do there. balancechiro.com/associate is where you can get the information. So, Doc, thank you so much for being on the podcast today. Really appreciate you. And as
I appreciate you doing this, Dr. Bill. This is fantastic. Really glad that you have this for all the prospective doctors out there, and also doctors who are looking for an associate.
Nice. Yeah, appreciate you.
Thank you.
All right. And as we always say around here, go team upper cervical.
That's right. Go team.